So, hello and welcome to the Human Behind the Career Brand podcast. I'm the host, Jeanette Walton. I'm a career brand consultant and a Humans Matter champion, committed to helping others deep dive into their many human facets that make them unique, fabulous beings. Research is indicating that humans more than ever are craving human connection across both professional and consumer contexts. And that's despite, and maybe even because of, the onslaught of AI and other digital technologies. So my primary mission with this podcast is to inspire each of us to value and appreciate our multifaceted strengths, experiences, and offerings, both as professionals and as human beings, and to highlight that human stories and connections, as well as hobbies and interests, will always matter, both personally and professionally. So my next guest for this podcast series is Heidi Clarris. Heidi is currently an executive leader at the disability service provider Aruma, specialising in customer experience, insights and strategy. And she's also on executive boards that include for Aruma and Parkinson's Australia. And she's previously been in leadership roles at Bupa, Public Transport Victoria, and the Department of Planning, Transport and Infrastructure. Heidi lives in the leafy eastern suburbs of Melbourne, where she regularly hits the pavement to pursue her passion for running. She started running at around 19 years of age when she was diagnosed with a heart condition called supraventricular tachycardia. I knew I would get that wrong.
That's quite a name.
Basically a tendency for fast heart rate. After she was told that if she didn't increase her physical fitness level, that she'd be on tablets for the rest of her life and possibly need an operation. So she started at zero fitness level. She took up running, and it took at least a year before Heidi started to feel comfortable with, i.e. not close to dying, from this form of exercise. Appreciating both the physical and mental health benefits of running, early 40s, as her twin children started to become more independent, she started to set running goals. First it was 10-kilometre fun runs, then 15-kilometre, and now it's up to half marathons. To be able to continue with this physically demanding but rewarding passion, Heidi has to continuously manage injuries based on her age and the length of time she's been hitting the pavement, including through health specialists. And she recently recorded her personal best time in a half marathon in Melbourne, which is amazing. Well done, Heidi.
Thanks, Jeanette.
So it's a pleasure to have you on the podcast.
Yeah, it's a pleasure to be here. Thank you. Thanks for inviting me.
I love hearing about everyone's different passions and hobbies and interests.
Yeah, absolutely.
So to get started on this discussion, first could you tell me a bit about when you first got into running and why it has continued to be a passion of yours? So we've probably touched on it on the intro, but is there anything else you'd like to add about why you chose running?
Yes, so that's, yes, absolutely. Good question. So, when I was diagnosed, I was about 19, and it certainly wasn't a life-threatening heart condition. When you talk about heart, it often sounds a little bit more serious than what it was, but it was a fast heart rate, and I was told that I needed to get fit, and granted, I was not at all fit at that point. So it was good advice. So I was at uni at that point. Back then, you might remember that aerobics was all the rave.
I do.
Yeah. But I decided to mix it up with a bit of aerobics with my friends, and also I decided that I would set the goal of starting to run. And I think I was a little bit inspired by my sister at that point because she was quite a runner. So I've now been running for more than 35 years, pretty consistently outside of when I'm injured. I think, to be honest, that why I'm still running is a little bit to do with the fact that I have a bit of an addictive personality, and I tend to be quite habitual in the things I do. Not all my addictions, unfortunately, and habits over the years have been as healthy as running, but running's definitely one that I've continued to enjoy, and now probably don't really know what I would do without it. I do find myself worrying about when my body might give out and I will no longer be able to run.
Well, you see reels every now and then or videos online about people in their 70s and 80s still running, yeah?
True.
So
And
it's
what,
whatever
Jen?
pace you can do.
And I still have people in their 70s and 80s bypassing me in fun runs. So
Exactly. So you got plenty of time with the running. And you're right, it is a bit addictive. I mean, I had a phase of running. I've stopped, but it's real adrenaline rush, and
totally.
when you finish as well, and
Totally.
how much you feel, yeah?
Yeah, totally. Yep, absolutely.
So how do you think running benefits you personally?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's benefited me personally in different ways depending on what stage of my life I was in. So I know in my 20s, I mean, the basic thing for me was to get fit. And certainly if anyone who's run knows that it's not an easy individual sport to undertake if you haven't run
Yes.
before. It not necessarily pleasurable the
No,
first
not
time.
if you get in your own head like I used to.
No, exactly. But it certainly is a whole body exercise. And I think that's what I liked about it. I'm certainly a cardio person more than weight. So I think during uni it's really around getting fit, and it certainly helped me to do that. And it was certainly a social thing too. I started to meet some other runners at uni and spent many good times with them running around Princess Park, because I lived in Melbourne at that point in time. I think when I had young children, so I had twins, it was, besides probably kind of downplaying my running a little bit, it was certainly me time. It calmed me down after a hectic day with the twins, who I love dearly, but they weren't always easy.
Particularly when they're little.
Yeah, absolutely. And then I think it became even more important once I returned to work and was, like many young mums, trying to juggle kind of a professional career and young children. And, while I had to probably change my routine and run early in the mornings and often half asleep, it was still something that I looked forward to. And, just really was my me time, and the break that I had away from all of the other parts of my life.
Yeah, yeah. It's a head clearer, isn't it?
It is,
Exercise.
absolutely. And I think more recently, now that running's more easy for me and, I don't need to think about it as much, but I've probably just used it a little bit differently now. It's time to catch up on some news, or it's time to listen to a really good podcast.
Yeah.
And again, because I work a lot from home post-COVID while I'm not traveling, it does give me that break away from the desk and
Yeah,
really
of
kind of
course.
say, this is the end of the day, I'll go for a short run, and, then there's family time.
Yeah, so it helps to differentiate the
Yeah.
two parts of your day, yeah, working from
Yeah,
home. Yeah, great
absolutely.
point. And I love that you talked about the socialization too, because that's coming across so
Yeah.
many of the people I've interviewed for this
Absolutely.
podcast about hobbies and interests, like, it's
Absolutely.
the social aspect too, yeah?
Yeah, well, you think about how successful parkrun's been. I sporadically do parkruns. I'm not a regular, but I've got many friends who are there every single Saturday, and, it's their, it's part of their social
Or outlets, yeah?
life, really.
Yeah,
Very
yeah.
successful.
And is there anything else that you think of how running benefits you professionally?
Certainly, look, running for me has been very important for my mental health. And I think that's, research would say now that, exercise is one of the best things we can do for mental health. Not
Yeah.
that I haven't suffered terrible mental health, but I know that if I don't run, I tend to get a little bit down, and I'm kind of more stressed and anxious than I might be normally. So I've learned over the years that that's just what I have to do, to kind of stabilize in terms of mental health. But I think, if I think about the days that I run in the morning before I start work, it's amazing the difference in terms of my concentration and my energy. I think I'm just much more effective at work if I've moved before I
Yes.
sit down at my desk, especially if I'm working from home. Just kind of, getting that physical exercise to start with, it really is just, it is a noticeable difference for me in terms of effectiveness in my professional life.
Yeah, wow. Yeah, that again, the head clearer, yeah, before
Yeah,
you start the day. Yeah, the
absolutely.
energizer.
Mm. Yeah.
So with each of these episodes, I like to do a little bit of research about the relevant hobby. So something I didn't know until I did the online research for this podcast is that the first marathon was inspired by a battlefield victory in 490 BC.
Right.
Yeah, yeah. And that, although that Greek soldier who ran 25 kilometres to Athens to announce the victory collapsed and died soon after. Yeah. So what do you believe is the ideal way to maintain a healthy running fitness level? Because obviously he didn't maintain it. What would you say is
No.
the best way?
Yeah, and I mean, you do hear these terrible stories about, athlete, dropping dead while they're running, and thankfully that's quite rare. Although obviously the media picks things like that up, but
Of course. Yep.
yeah, no, I mean, I think it's a personal thing. I mean, I tend to follow a training program which is geared at, putting me in the best place when I've got an event coming up, and also then, following the event, making sure that I have the downtime to enable your body to recover. But that's a recent thing for me. Prior to that, I was just happy to get out and run. And I think people know their body, don't they? Certainly if you're starting your running kind of midlife and you've done very little exercise before, you probably should seek some professional advice just in terms of how to start and, how to ramp it up. And I actually find that there's so much useful advice online. And yes, you'll find the advice that's not that credible, but you can also find some really good advice about how to kind of start and sustain
Yes.
a running career or, running.
Yep.
But I think, it's not necessarily about setting lofty goals that you can't attain because, in my motto is that it's just better to be out there, whether you're walking, shuffling, running. It's always better to be out there than not out there.
Yes.
And you just have to listen to your body because, yes, if you run for decades like I have, the injuries will happen. And you need to
Yep.
make sure that you're listening to your body and not putting it through too much stress.
And
If
it's
you
probably And it's probably being, accepting of your capabilities in terms of your
absolutely.
body, yeah? We're all built differently. Like, I do know of people who run really well who are quite lean, for instance,
Yes,
that's their body. They've got the right shape, but,
absolutely.
not everyone's got the same shape, so it's about appreciating
Absolutely.
your body.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Yeah.
And finding what you wanna do, like, if running's not your thing, there's lots of other things you can do to keep fit.
Absolutely.
Yeah, it's that
Hiking for me, so
absolutely.
yeah.
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 Walking,
Yeah.
walking's great for you, and it's just so much better
Yes.
than not walking.
Yeah, 100%. And what would you define as your main superpower as a runner?
Probably consistency. And again, that
Yeah?
probably comes back to my personality, and probably just someone who's lucky enough to be quite habitual. So if I set myself a goal and I say I'm gonna run, I run without questioning it too much. I'm never gonna be someone who wins marathons, so I'm not chasing, really fast paces. I like to have a goal
Yeah.
and I like to get kind of faster when I can, but I just know the tremendous benefits around my mental health in particular, and my professional performance. That just is enough to kind of keep me running. So yeah, it's consistency that's my superpower. I would hardly ever miss a week unless I
Yeah.
unless
Yeah. Yes. Yeah. Consistent commitment
consistent
to
commitment.
maintain the running fitness
Yeah,
level. Yeah.
absolutely.
And what is your favourite distance to run and where?
Yeah, so I run half marathons at the moment. I wouldn't say when I'm running them, it's always my favorite distance. I often find myself thinking halfway through, I think I'll become a 10K runner. But that's what I set myself as a goal, and that's certainly not always been the case. I used to run, 5, and then I ran 10, and then I ran 15, and now I kind of that's my thing is half marathons. I have accepted the fact that I'm not going to try to run a marathon. It's such a commitment, and I know my body, and it's not up for that.
Yeah, that body awareness again.
Absolutely, absolutely. Yeah, I mean, in terms of where, so I have been lucky enough to do a couple of destination marathons with a friend. So one of them was at the Sunshine Coast, for example. That was lovely. But things like that are expensive, so you can't do them
Yes.
all the time.
Yes.
But my basic thing is I love being next to the ocean. So I love running down the Great Ocean Road when I get the opportunity, and I love running through the bush. So what I hate is running along main roads. So I just do not get much out of that. So it's being in nature. It's connecting, moving your body, and that connection with nature, I think, is the
Yep.
thing for me. Mm,
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And yeah, I can relate to that as a hiker. Yeah.
absolutely.
Yeah. And what is it about running in multi-person marathons that particularly appeals to you?
Yeah. I don't know what it is about, the marathon day and you rock up and there's, thousands and thousands of people. And, for most people, they know that they can run faster, without, in less pain often, on that day. And you kind of go, well, what is it? Well, endorphins, I'm sure have got a lot to do with that.
Yeah.
I always feel
Feeding off
stronger.
each other, yeah?
I think so. And, I mean, these events are run really, really well. I mean, they're run so well at the moment, they're actually hard to get into. So often you need to go into a ballot to get into, the big ones such as Melbourne and Sydney, which is a shame, isn't it? Because if you want to run, it would be, it's a
It
shame
is a
that
shame.
sometimes you can't.
Yeah, absolutely.
But on the flip side, isn't it wonderful that so many people are finding enjoyment and passion through running, which I think is also the other thing is you get to meet all walks of life when you do these runs, and you realise that in actual fact anyone can run. It is just doesn't discriminate between age, culture, ability, gender, or even disability. So many, lots of these runs cater for people with different types of disability, which I think is really great to see. So, I think it's the atmosphere. I'm not a team sport player, but I do love race day when there's, all these people, like-minded people kind of running with you.
Feel like you're part of something bigger, yeah? Bigger
Yes.
than yourself. Yeah.
Absolutely. And I think that's why parkruns have been so successful. Like, it's connection, isn't it? Bringing a
Yeah.
passion and using that to connect with people. I think it's really,
And
really
and
important.
it's a positive connection, isn't it? Like you're
Yes,
all doing something that you
absolutely.
love with your own
Yep,
goals and
absolutely.
inspiring and supporting each other.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, love it. Love it. And you may have touched on this, but let's see if you want to go any deeper. Has there ever been a moment when you seriously doubted or questioned why you continued to run?
Yes, as I said, sometimes halfway through a half marathon, I'm definitely questioning what I'm doing. But that's not all that serious. But I mean, look, injuries can be tough depending on how serious the injury is. And I'm lucky enough not to have had any broken bones or anything like that. But some injuries do take quite a while and quite a lot of effort in terms of commitment to exercises and Pilates, whatever it might be that you're kind of recommended to do. So that's quite a commitment to get back to running. And then, when you've been away from running, it's not always like riding a bike, I kind of think.
No,
Not
you have to
that
get
your
that fitness
body
level back up.
necessarily remembers how to run well. So
Yeah.
that can be hard. And like it probably goes back to the point where my consistency is my superpower, but running midwinter in the rain is not always
That pleasurable.
not always all that pleasurable. So probably I find myself asking about, when's the time to find an alternative indoor sport?
And have you ever had like, you mentioned you've had some injuries. Have you ever had a health specialist say you need to stop running?
Yeah, I have actually, probably about 20 years ago.
And
Obviously,
how did you handle that?
look, I think, depending on the health specialist you go to, some of them, bring their own views. And this one, just didn't really believe that the human body was made to run. Whereas, the health specialists I see, and in particular one now, he is a runner himself. He's a running coach and he is a kind of he's a health expert as well. And I think he accepts that if you want to run, there's usually a way. You might need to run slower, you might need to run shorter distance, and you might need to put in a whole lot of effort around the other exercises that you have to do. So, I know that I have to do quite a bit of gym work. And it's not hours a day or anything like that, but even a good couple of sessions a week and doing the right exercises make a tremendous difference to how long and how pain-free you can run. So I now just kind of see that as part of running. That's just part of what I have to do.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. It's the preventative as well,
Yes,
isn't it? Yeah. Yeah.
absolutely.
Yeah.
And it's so important, especially as you get into older years.
Yes, of course, of course. It's respecting your body
Yes,
as well, isn't it? Yeah.
absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah.
And what would you say has been your most outstanding achievement as a runner?
Oh, look, I mean, I suppose the most recent one was getting a personal best in a half marathon,
Which is
at
amazing.
the age of
Yeah.
55.
Yeah, amazing.
But having said that, I didn't start half marathons in my 20s, so it's a little bit
Yes.
false PV. Oh, look, I just think that the achievement is just continuing to get out there and do it. That's probably what I'm most proud of. But I think the other thing is like along the, you know, as you kind of go along your running career, you do meet other people who have an interest in running. And I think I've probably played a part in a couple of people taking up running that they may not have done otherwise. And, for example, one person who I introduced to park runs probably 10 years ago now, just out of the blue sent me a text thanking me. He just reached his I don't know whether it was 100th or 200th. So it was a lot of park runs, but he remembered the day that I kind of took him along to a park run and he said, it's absolutely changed my life. So,
Oh,
yeah,
fabulous.
just helping others is always good too, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. Inspiring others, yeah?
Mm.
Yeah. And this is just a question I ask everyone at the end of our chat. So it sounds a bit dramatic, but it gets us to go a bit deeper. If your world or if the world and your life was to end tomorrow, what would your reflection be on how running has helped you to live a more fulfilling life?
Yeah. Oh, look, I would just say it's been the staple in my life since I was about 20 in terms of making me, physically and mentally well,
Yes.
which has just enabled me to do other things in my life, such as bring up a family and have a, relatively successful career. I don't think if I had not had that, in particular, the ability to uplift my mental health,
Yes.
I don't think I would have achieved those other things. And it's my go-to. It's kind of my go-to happy place.
Yeah, yeah, that's great. Yeah, there's certainly a lot more talk these days about the mental health benefits of exercise,
Absolutely.
not just the
Yep.
physical, the mental health.
Absolutely. Yeah. And they're even
Yeah.
saying, with people undergoing cancer treatment and, if they can, and not, it's not necessarily a run, but, a walk, a slow jog, that there's the benefits that are being shown through that are, yeah, they're tremendous.
Yeah, 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 love it. Lastly, and this is just for my benefit as a career brand consultant, so just indulge me with this one. I wanted to ask you what you think your ideal career branding would be to convey you as a multidimensional human and professional who enjoys running. So I guess if we think what the core brand elements would be where we interweave your running into your career. So I imagine it would be being driven,
Yes.
being consistent.
Yep. Absolutely.
Anything else you think
Yeah,
would
definitely being driven, being consistent, being outcome oriented,
yes. Yep.
and maybe just going as far as saying nurturing others, try to bring others in as well,
Yeah.
being a mentor.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah. Yeah, okay. Well, thank you so much for your time, Heidi. It's been such a pleasure speaking with you and learning a bit more about your passion for running. And I admire you. I tried it. It didn't last for me, but well done. I'm glad you love it so much, and I love hearing about these passions like you have
Yeah.
that play such a big part in your life. So thank you.
No, thank you, Jeanette. It was fun.